Hey everybody, this is LunaWorks Odds and Ends, and I'm Yvonne.
And I am Myra. And before we get started, please remember to hit share, subscribe, and the bell for notifications for our next videos, which we try to do on Thursdays. So today, we would like to talk about the Gay Pride. We're kicking off June, which is Gay Pride across the country. And so we want to talk about our experiences in Gay Pride, and especially the experience of it in DC. So to kick off the Pride this weekend, this is Memorial Weekend. It is also the weekend of Black Gay Pride. So starting this weekend is really the kickoff total. So we have Black Gay Pride, the Memorial Weekend, and then the following week starts regular Gay Pride in June.
So here's a little history about Washington, D.C.'s Black Gay Pride. It is held every Memorial Weekend in May. So even though it's been going on since 1991, its roots actually go back further. Now, a little history about Black Gay Prides. Los Angeles had their first Black Gay Pride back in 1988 at the beach. New York Gay Pride, Black Gay Pride, has been going on since 1997. But the roots of Washington, D.C.'s Black Gay Pride goes back all the way to 1975. So between 1975 and 1990, there was a place called the Clubhouse, which was like the epicenter for the social life of the Black gay community in Washington, D.C. Now, every Memorial Weekend, they would do this party, and it was a whole weekend deal, and it was called the Children's Hour. And it was an elaborately themed weekend. They had performers and DJs and cookouts, and it was supposed to be a small gathering for like the Clubhouse members. But as the word spread, it's what happens. People start coming in from all over the country, people of color finding out about this new little event in Washington, D.C. So that went on from 1975 to 1990. And of course, with the emergence of AIDS and HIV during that time period, 1990, things started to happen. A lot of the members of the club and a lot of the promoters and the people that worked with this organization were passing. And so unfortunately in 1990, the clubhouse had to close the doors. But because this was a tradition for so many years, they decided to go ahead and bring it back in 1991 as the Washington, D.C. Black Gay Pride to raise awareness and funds for the HIV and the AIDS programs that were out there, specifically those that were wanting to help the African American community in Washington, D.C. So that's where we have our history of Black Pride. So when we first got up here in 1990, we didn't know that there was anything going on as far as Gay Pride goes. Our first experience, and my first experience with Black Gay Pride was in 1991, a year after.
And during that time, the focus at the festival was about
safe sex,
awareness. A lot of condoms were given out during that time.
A lot of
condoms, dental dams. They didn't forget the women. There was all things going on.
And if you're wondering what a dental dam is, look it up.
Yeah. We're not using it for the dental part of it, but dental dam, or look up Saran wrap. It doesn't matter.
But our first impression. What was your first impression of
the first
Black Gay?
Well, you went in 1991, but I didn't go until 1992.
Right.
And so my first impression was, wow. It was amazing of all the people of color. And of course, we were very colorful. in every way. It's whenever we get together, color is probably
Yeah, primary. It was just not just people of color. It was just
and
colorful.
it was great to see people from other countries and people from other states and people from different parts of this country, from the south to the north. They were all there celebrating because Washington D.C. is a point for a lot of people who don't get all this information, and so they come to DC and let their hair down, and
it was beautiful to see all of these Black folks, and it was almost like family reunion. When you went to your uncle and the auntie's house and your grandma and grandma's house
Right.
to the barbecue.
everybody
Everyone dressed in that barbecue best.
right.
If there was ever such thing as the Sunday best, this was barbecue best.
Yeah, barbecue
You
best,
had
best,
shorts
yeah.
on. You had your hair done.
Everything was, we Black folks.
You know.
It was just that, and it was, and where it was at
Howard
Banneker,
University's Banneker Field.
and so it was a track field or something like that, and
Vendors all the way around.
yeah, we had lots of vendors. So you spent a lot of time on the benches where they would, view, and just
up in the
watch people-
bleachers.
up in the bleachers,
And
watching
watch.
people. Your mouth was like on the ground half the time because of not of the shock and awe, but of the good feeling that you got
And-
from seeing
And the
your folks.
diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a diverse crowd all around, and we had that that one thing in common, that we were all gay and lesbian, and
We're all
regardless
people
of
of
whether
color.
all people of color, it was just a very mix of everyone: white, Black, Asian, Native American, whatever, and we just had the best time. Great entertainment. And the one thing we want to shout out to one person that
Made it wonderful.
was Racine. And Racine Pendarvis. She was perfect. I mean,
Made the event.
made the event.
Things always go wrong in a festival situation. I don't care what festival. But
They
you
kept
never,
their head.
You never know. Funny, humorous, informative, a great MC, and truly, we kept going as long as they had it because of Racine.
Right.
So if you don't know who that is, you really need to Google that. She is a DC.
A DC standard, activist, a wonderful person all around.
Yeah. So
They were also trying to promote not just AIDS and HIV awareness, but also relationships and marriage equality. Just remember, this was in 1991. We were well over, 10, 15 years, before everything went. Was it 2010 when they made it legal in DC?
yeah, it was
Yeah,
2010 when they made it in DC, because that's when we.
So that's 20 years, right?
Uh,
1990
no, yeah,
to 2010.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
20 years. So 20 years from the time that we got here.
And that they have been working on marriage
Equality, yes.
And so a lot was going on. At a festival period, a Pride festival, that's what you're getting your information. If you haven't had information all year or ever, that's where you're getting it. We had vendors, books and, all kinds of wares, artists. There were quite a few things to show people. Musicians, of course, we had a dance floor, and that was bumping the whole time. And then we also had a drag show, of course. What's the festival without one?
That's right. And the other clubs and restaurants in the area had specials, special events going on for Black Pride that weekend. So, I used to say we're coming up on DC Pride.
Yeah, so
And yeah.
today is Thursday, so the weekend's probably starting tomorrow. So there are probably already events. Now, the Pride Festival has changed since
COVID.
and even before that. And so it's still one of those things that, you really have to look it up to see what's going on with,
Go online.
go online and find out what's going on with DC. But that's what happens in DC. And then one of the coolest things every Monday after, because it's always on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Every Monday after was always a barbecue.
Oh, the real big barbecue that someone has over in the park. Yeah,
so everyone
I
comes
forgot
for the
who
barbecue.
put that one on.
So if you've been to the DC Black Pride, you know what we're talking about. And so we just wanted to celebrate that because it starts in the next few days. And so what's really great, because you see in the city more and more African American gay folk
Milling around,
enjoying the city's what the city has to offer, our free museums and the monuments. So it's really great to see all of that happening, and this is going to start this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So this hat is very significant.
Very.
Because Zulu Condoms was, I believe, a black-owned
company.
And they were selling these hats at Black Pride.
Mm-hmm.
And what was very cool about this hat, one was the
Kango
colors.
looking.
This Kango look, and it also had the Rasta and Ethiopian flag colors on it. But here is the cherry. The cherry is, you can unzip this bad boy, and there inside was your condom.
Don't leave home without it.
Never. Just stick it in your hat. And this is the original condom in it. So this is...
You got it upside down.
Yeah, upside down? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so this is the original condom. It says, designed with the black man in mind.
Oh, wait a minute. It got proceeds? What does that say?
Yeah. Be Smart by Zulu. Important facts for blacks. The rate of HIV infection is 3 times greater in Africans in America than whites. 1 out of every 3 Africans, females in America, will become pregnant by the age of 18. And the average age of sexual intercourse for urban black males is 11.8 years of age. By the year 2000, each African American will know at least 3 people who have died of AIDS. And this is this was information on this. So it was more than just a condom. It was,
it was an informational packet.
It was a definitely informational packet, and you just,
slid
it up into your zipper. Get it.
Yeah, there you go.
And went on about your way.
Uh-huh.
So we wanted to share that hat because we still have it. I'm sure. I don't even know if that company still exists.
I don't either.
We'll have to find out. But if not, look it up. Zulu Condoms. And by the way, the condom was black. So I'm sure if we probably open that packet up, it'll probably just
disintegrate.
Yeah. So this was what was happening with African Americans and people of color. So for it to go in now, as we go into the Black Lives Matter, it's still important that black people are taking care of themselves and taking care of their health. So we just want to shout that out about health is still, they still exist. But we've held on to this for all these years. It's an antique. And the condom is black itself. But we wouldn't dare open it. This is the original condom in it. And also it had instructions in here. 192, and I can't remember when they stopped doing that, because at some point they didn't have the Banneker Field.
Right.
And it went into the convention center.
And then they also did pop-up events at different clubs. So, you had the Bachelor's Mill, which is, traditionally the black or the African American gay and lesbian bar from back in the day, and a few other places would do specialties that night because of Black Gay Pride on the weekend. As a matter of fact, up until recently, I remember maybe about 3 years ago, maybe less than that, we were in U Street, and all of the clubs and just the regular restaurants and things were packed in U Street.
During
And
last year's Pride.
Last year, the year before last
Yeah.
Pride.
Yeah.
And
19.
it was like all these men, and they're out there, and
And women.
and you're at you are looking your barbecue best. I mean, slim pants, shorts. You got manicured toes.
Your shoes are
Shoes
right.
are
your
right,
hat,
your
the hair,
hat,
the
the
whole
hair.
deal. You know the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so every club in the city who smart will have a gay event for that weekend, and not just for Black Pride, but for the week after, next week, when the DC
Regular
Pride
DC Pride begins.
begins. It's gonna do it all over again for everybody. And going forward for the next few weeks in June.
In June, we're going to kick off each week with something that is related to the history of Pride, and so we're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, you know,
that's
famous
related to Pride. And things that's so don't forget to subscribe, hit the dinger, so you can get notifications, and please write us a comment or a question about our 40 years or the subject we're talking about today, and which is Black Pride.
So just want to say, see you next week. This is Luna Works, Odds and Ends. Goodbye.
See you later.